By the way, Matt Men Podcast up in New York, they're allowing us to share the podcast stuff for MCW on their group page.
Cool.
So we're getting a bit more exposure with that now.
That works. Very appropriate to have my Hockey Hall of Fame polo today, since...
Oh man, I should have worn my Mighty Ducks of Anaheim
Monday,
jersey instead of this Ducks jersey.
Whatever. Monday is going to be another banner night for hockey, as we induct some more of the greatness that the league and the sport has given us over the past 100 years. Good game last night. I mean, I blitzed through it in a half hour. I was like, damn, this DVD thing works. I'm just hitting fast forward, I was just going through, and still, I mean, Caps were 2 for 6 on the power play.
How'd you do that?
But
2 for 6 is pretty good.
Yeah, but they're still, I mean, the 4 that they missed on, it was still a lot of the same problems, not even being able to get set up, and just the one huge thing I got massive. It just gets to be more of a massive problem every time I see it. Is Txht taking the face off to start the power play.
All right, well,
But
like
I
he's about
will
to play.
address that on the show.
We may not be taking commercial breaks this show.
Huh?
We may not be taking commercials.
Hey, you know, we got a lot on the docket. You know,
Yeah.
like you say, you got the big trade. You got, I mean, a lot of things happening. I mean, it's a good time to be a hockey fan. Tampa Bay won't lose. Nikita Kucherov keeps scoring.
Yeah, of course.
That freaking, I tell you, like I told you last night, I am so glad.
I mean, so you said you got it trapped. How you got it trapped?
I mean, we should have beaten them in Tampa. You know?
Yeah.
We live?
Hold on, baby. Hold on. Hold on.
At the matriarch of the Green household?
Yeah.
Give Leslie my best. Let's go. Hey, oh, let's go. All right, we're live on Facebook Live. We're going. The show that is.
Yep.
Just tap these last few go.
And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Experience Hockey Talk, Serious Hockey Talk for serious hockey fans. And Bernie, we're just going to jump right into it, man. We got a lot. I mean, normally we play like, we're on Facebook. And yes, Brian, I am wearing the Red Ranger hat, and thank you for liking it.
Well, hey guys, welcome to another awesome edition of the Experience Hockey Talk right here on WBGR Sports Network. And as always, like to thank Lionel Green for giving us the platform to discuss the great sport of hockey, and also a big shout out to his son Lionel Jr. down in Orlando. A happy birthday to him. And speaking of birthdays, a happy 242nd birthday to our Marine Corps. Semper Fi, do or die. And also, I want to say a special thank you to all the veterans out there. It's Veterans Day officially today, and I just am thankful for all those who have made the greatest decision an American citizen can make, and that's to serve this great country that we live in, regardless of political stances and what have you, to go out there and defend the very freedoms this country was built on and based on. I appreciate it, not just on Veterans Day, not just on Independence Day, every day. I thank you for your service, and I thank you for giving us the chance to be able to do whatever we feel free to do in this great country. So it's a great day to be an American again, as always. CJ Burney, always a pleasure to see that you are in the rink with us.
And CJ, good morning to you too. And sir, I need to text you after the show. I have a question for you. So
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. Oh, by the way, CJ Burney, magnificent graphic artist.
And a very good comedian, too.
Yes,
so
so-
if you see him on the marquee out there with Lavelle Crawford, go see his show. It's top notch.
All right.
Hockey. Caps.
So, last Saturday when we were here, the Washington Capitals were preparing to take on the Boston Bruins, which they won 3-2. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of the games real quick leading up to it, and then we'll break down.
Oh, yeah, we'll break it down.
And then on Monday, the Capitals took on the Arizona Coyotes, which they won 3-2 in overtime. Then the very next night in Buffalo, they lost 3-1. And then last night, a good game for the Washington Capitals, a 4-1 victory over the rival Pittsburgh Penguins. And
It's always a good night when you beat Pittsburgh.
well, not only that, but it's also a good night when you beat a division
Absolutely.
opponent too. So let's actually. I want to jump to Arizona, and the reason I want to jump to them is they're the worst team in the NHL. They only have one win, but yet somehow they're able to get a goal in the first minute of the game, get a second goal later on, and for some reason, the Capitals had to beat them in overtime. This is not a very well-developed Arizona Coyotes team right now. This is a team that's still trying to get their legs under them under new head coach Rick Tocchet. From your perspective, what did the Caps do wrong? They'll only win in overtime and not win in regulation like they probably should have in this game.
Well, as much as Arizona has struggled, only getting two wins and two overtime shootout losses in their first 17 games, they aside from the last game they played against St. Louis when they got drubbed 8-2, they have been starting out strong. And I think they said on the broadcast that they had scored the opening goal in 12 of their first 16 games, which is quite remarkable seeing what their record is. It's just that once the game gets going and the more established teams have been able to get their legs under them and adjust to a very fast Arizona Coyote team. There's a lot of skill on the team. It's a lot of young skill that's learning how to play in the NHL, learning a new system under Rick Tocchet. I think in the second half of the season, you're going to see a lot of things grow in that organization. I mean, Clayton Keller's playing fantastic, and it was just breakdowns by the Capitals. I mean, there was a couple of bad breakdowns that led to an odd 2-on-1 on the Clayton Keller goal. And then on the second goal, it was just a breakdown and that clearing pass that was taken that was not getting out of the zone, and it found the back of the net. It was just little things the Capitals have been making a lot harder on themselves than it should be. And but both teams are getting paid. Both teams lace up their skates, and and start 0-0 every game. So, I mean, look at Vegas. They had a great start. They had a 1-4-1 road trip on the East. They went back home and blew out Winnipeg last night. So, it's a topsy-turvy NHL, and the Coyotes have the opening of the game figured out. They just haven't figured out the last 45 minutes of the game.
Yeah. And talking about that, the Capitals, we can say, have not really been putting in full 60-minute games, which was evident in the game against Buffalo the next night. But they did play a full 60 minutes last night, which is something a lot of people were praising the Washington Capitals for. You had two power play goals, one from John Carlson, one from TJ Oshie. Phil Kessel would make that the only goal for the Penguins, and then you would have Chandler Stevenson and Jacob Vrana scoring goals for the Washington Capitals as well.
Well, you see the Buffalo game, and I can sense a little bit of frustration with Philip Grubauer post-game with his interview. He wants to win. I understand that. I mean, it's a very difficult situation when you've got a lot of new pieces in your lineup. But you look all around. I mean, look around the NHL. I mean, Chicago's 7-7-2. They're trying to figure out a bunch of different pieces in their lineup. You look at the Metropolitan Division. It's 5 points from first to last, and Carolina's got 3 games in hand on some of these 3 to 4 games on some of these teams in the division. It's an 8-team logjam in the division right now. Everyone's trying to find their footing.
How weird is it to say that Carolina has a 3-game games in hand on teams.
Well, I mean, all scheduling and everything, and they had their long road trip, and at times you have to spread out the home games. With Carolina's concerned, they have a couple of long stretches in football season. I think the circus or something like that, where they always have a long road trip they have to take, and sometimes you have to space those things out. But with going back to the Capitals, with the back-to-back thing, I mean, you got to figure out. I mean, Barry Trotz has got to be better with John Carlson and Brooks Orpik's minutes until Matt Niskanen comes back, which sounds like it's close to being a reality. It's just a matter of trying to get the numbers straight and getting him back up to speed with his legs and everything, but also getting the numbers straight, because that's a $5.75 million cap hit you got to fit back on the roster, being on long-term injury reserve. So, but I think the back-to-backs are going to be something that's going to be ironed out as they get more chemistry with Vrana and Stevenson, seeing where they lock into the lineup. And with, I feel a great stretch coming along, because like we've mentioned several times on this show, is that when this team plays back, has every other night, they get on a groove. They get that groove going. They have a routine, and you see up to Thanksgiving, they play every other night, which almost screamed. I mean, they won 4 or 5, and it could, be that one of those times where they start ramping it up little by little, bit by bit. 9-7-1 at this point is not a bad thing, considering they've actually had adversity for the first time in 3 years.
And you want to know something really interesting? The New Jersey Devils, who have 20 points with a 9-4-2 record, have only played 15 games so far this season.
Yeah, the team you cast off at the beginning of the season, a bunch of no talent, six defensemen out there. Will Butcher came along and say, "Hey, I'll take this Hobie Baker Trophy and show you what I did last year at Denver."
At the time, keep in mind, at the time we didn't have Willie Butcher in the lineup for the Devils. We didn't.
But a credit to John Hines. Yeah. He has taken what he has, and that's a ton of speed, and utilized it to the fullest advantage. And also, this hockey fight cancer thing is just amazing, with all the storytelling and the scripts that have happened. Brian Boyle scoring his first goal of the season. I actually almost teared up a little bit at just how emotional that was, with all the fight he's been through with his cancer diagnosis in the off season, to be able to get back to the ice and actually get a goal on one of the Hockey Fights cancer nights. It's always something that they can build on in New Jersey. But like I said, back with the Caps, the Penguin game, like you mentioned, great game. They had a lot of good spacing. Devontae Smith-Pelly was all over the ice, hitting anything that moved. A really strong game. It was crazy when you go into this game and you say that Sidney Crosby hadn't done a goal in 10 games and Nicholas Backstrom had a point in 7 games. You're thinking, what parallel universe am I in? These two are always nibbling at the top of the scoring leader when they play a full 82 games or close to it. So, but yeah, like you mentioned, great game overall. The power play still got some things that you need to iron out. I really don't understand why Nicholas Backstrom isn't taking every face-off in the offensive end on the power play to start the power play, especially a guy who's averaged, I think, 53% over his career. And on the power play goal, he's the one it was the second draw of that power play. He took the draw. They were able to control the thing. TJ Oshie, great player and all that. Not a center. I've said it last week, said it 5 weeks ago, said it 25 weeks ago last year. I don't care about this righty-lefty stuff. If you can take a draw, if you're a center iceman by trade, by birth almost, so to speak, you should be taking the draws. TJ Oshie should be lining up. I love the little play that they had back before Trotz came in. Barry Trotz hasn't used this play where Ovi was right behind the center. And you know how many goals Ovechkin scored just getting that face-off?
A lot.
Yeah, and it's just a little play that you can get 5 to 10 goals a season on, just by Nicholas Backstrom winning the face-off with his stick or his boot, and Ovi just whipping that wrist shot top shelf, using guys in front of the net as screens, which led to both power play goals last night. Good traffic in front of the net, as well as the third goal, Backstrom with his pass between his legs, between Chason's legs driving the net, and Chandler Stevens says, "Thank you very much. I got a full 3x3 of the 4x6 just staring at me. I could put it wide side past Matt Murray to make it 3-1.
All right, and then also one thing I want to note is that the last time we looked at the standings, the New York Islanders were ahead of the Capitals.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2 weeks ago when we looked at it. Before the Capitals played the Islanders, the Capitals had beaten the Islanders, which took away that 4-point differential right there. And then by beating the Pittsburgh Penguins, took away that 4-point game there. As a result, the Capitals are now a point ahead of the Islanders and a point behind the Penguins, which also puts them a point behind first place in the division. That's what happens when you play your division rivals and actually win those games and not lose them. Because if they had lost both of those games, the Capitals would probably be around where the Rangers are right now, or where the Hurricanes are right now, if they had not won those games.
Well, the Rangers are 1 point behind the Capitals, so it's like I said.
Well, the Rangers have been turning it on, and actually, I was on the phone last night with our good friend Russell. From
5 in a row. I think.
From Forever Blue Shirts. They've been rebranded. And him and I were talking about it, especially the fact that I actually worked the Boston Bruins New York Rangers game Wednesday night, which was the best game that I have actually seen the Rangers play this season. So the Rangers are getting it back together now. You could see the Capitals are now getting it together, even with the injuries that they're dealing with. Boston is still kind of struggling right now with their injuries. But there are 3 teams, though, who made an impact on Sunday.
Oh, did they ever?
Now,
saga ended finally.
Yes, the saga ended finally, and it became for some awkwardly great news for yesterday and today.
Oh, I know. That was crazy. That how a guy who spent, I think, the first 8 years of his career in Colorado gets traded to Ottawa, and his first game as an Ottawa Senator is in the Sweden games against his former team, after he had to try to find a way to get with his former team and then also get out to Sweden. I've never seen something like that before, but the trade was amazing. I mean, and what Colorado got, credit to Joe Sakic. A lot of people have been bashing Joe Sakic, but to see how many good prospects and draft picks he got in this deal, I mean, kudos to Joe Sakic on this deal.
Yeah, he got what he wanted, and that's the most important thing of them all. So, and real quick, we're going to break down this trade real quick. Colorado, they got the most, obviously, out of this trade.
Yep.
Colorado got goaltender Andrew Hammond, a first-round 2018 pick, a third-round 2019 pick, and forward Shane Bowers, who was the 28th overall pick in the 2017 draft from Ottawa. And from Nashville, they received a second-round pick in 2018. Defenseman Samuel Girard, who is 19 years old, and what you were telling me earlier, 5 games, 3 points so far for him. And then you have forward Vladislav Kamenev.
Something smells around here. Something smell.
Yeah.
I smell Suds. I smell a Suds package around here somewhere. I think he is in the building, and he'll be joining us momentarily. But to the Colorado part of the package you alluded to, I mean, you got a backup goalie with an expiring contract, Andrew Hammond, that can help out, especially if Farley, heaven forbid, pulls another groin muscle. The draft picks they got, I mean, first, the second, and the third, Bowers and Kamenev are both possible top 9 forwards down the road with development. And then, I mean, Girard's actually gotten some play in Nashville, getting under that system a little bit. I think he's had 3 points in 5 games for the Preds, and being able to trade out of surplus like Nashville can with that D-core they have. And he's still got guys in the system that you haven't seen yet that they've drafted over a couple of years. One thing Nashville knows how to do is draft defensemen and cultivate them. So to that part of the deal for Colorado, again, kudos Joe Sakic on that, but covered the last part.
And then Nashville got from Ottawa center Kyle Turris, who then signed a 6-year, $36 million contract.
Money.
He was in the last year of a 5-year contract. And Ottawa got some guy by the name of Matt Duchene, who's just only like the cornerstone of the entire trade, But, and he was actually playing very well for the Colorado Avalanche this season leading up to the trade. And the entire team was actually playing very well, which is something that we weren't expecting out of this team, especially with the potential drama that could have pursued. But you got to admit, the way he kind of just snuck behind...
That was hilarious. I think Suds had something to do with that since it happened in Barclays Center.
Yeah, and Blake Camo got hurt.
Yeah.
And as he's getting helped off the ice, you just kind of see Matt Duchene just kind of like to sneak off the ice right behind Blake.
May I ask a question, guys, on that trade?
Hi, Suds.
How are you?
How
are you? Nice to be back on the show. Quick question. I'm adding the experts here. There you go. Okay, now
we claim to be experts.
If you had to pick one team that lost this trade, which team lost this trade? I know we talk about winners. Which team do you think may have potentially lost this trade?
I don't really see a loser.
I don't.
in this
Yeah,
trade.
they'd be
If I
brilliant.
put a gun to your head, say one team, it's not going to work out. Which team do you think probably gave up too much?
Honestly, let's see here. Honestly,
Pick a team.
the only thing I could
There better be blanks in that gun because I really can't pick a team that
okay,
lost that deal.
I'll play devil's advocate with this. If Bowers and Kamenev do not come out the way or develop the way they should, and the draft picks that Colorado uses these guys on don't pan out as well, Colorado could end up being the loser long term. But in the short term,
Yes, fair enough.
none of the teams are losers. But this is this was the whole point of this trade for Colorado, was the fact that Joe Sakic wanted to get picks and prospects. That was the whole thing that he really wanted out of this trade for Matt Duchene, because it's like, all right, we're trading a franchise player. We want something massive in return so we can compensate for the for losing this player. We want to make sure that our team is going to be okay in the future.
Based on
without
some of
him.
the rumors that have been floating around before this trade was made, on what the offer was to Sakic in the offseason, do you think this was something that was a fair compensation? Could they got a better deal as reported in the offseason? Some of the rumors we heard.
I don't know if they could have gotten a better deal with what they got back just because they got a third team involved. Because if you only had one team involved, you wouldn't have gotten 3 prospects and
Fair enough.
and 3 picks as well as a backup goaltender. Like you said, Michael, prospects and picks are you don't know.
Yeah,
You don't know.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they could pan out great, they can not pan out great. You go to the draft, you draft 7 to 8, 9 players. A 6th or 7th round pick might be the guy that's your 40 goal scorer 10 years from now. You never know. It's a crapshoot. A lot of them are 18-year-old kids coming out. They look thin as a rail. I mean, look at Ovechkin and Malkin back in when they were drafted. They don't look as filled out as they do now. They were pretty buff for 18-year-olds, but they aren't what they are at 30 and 31 and 32-year-old. Now they're beasts.
Yeah, well, also keep in mind, like, Peter Bondra was a 9th round pick.
Yeah, Henrik Zetterberg was a late round pick.
Yeah, and I believe Datsuk was too.
Yep, I mean,
So Pavel Datsuk.
Yeah, but Kyle Turris just makes Nashville formidable and getting them dealt. And you knew Ottawa wasn't going to be able. They already came out and said, I mean, they weren't going to be able to afford Turris with all the contracts that are coming up there. Having him at Duchene with a couple of years left on his term, it makes it a little easier on them to try to get a lot of their finances in place. I mean, everything revolves around Erik Karlsson out there in Ottawa. So
And also, you're bringing up the point of, like, players just not panning out. Vadim Shipachyov,
Vegas.
yeah, he retired from the NHL after being suspended for refusing to report the Chicago Wolves. He is retired. He is now. He just signed with SKA St. Petersburg of the KHL.
Yeah.
So he is back in Russia playing.
I believe a deal was made that he had to pay back almost all of his signing bonus.
Yeah, he
$2
paid.
million
No, yeah, he got.
signing bonus,
Yeah,
Didn't make that
the
work.
Golden Knights got back his $2 million signing bonus that he signed for.
I think I heard a report that George McPhee came out and said that there was a deal in place for Shipachyov to
Yes.
go somewhere.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
it was.
he turned it down.
He turned
He-
it down,
Yeah.
saying, "No, I'm going back to Russia."
Yeah, I want to go back to the
It'd
KHL.
be very interesting to see if in the coming weeks that trade partner comes. I don't know. I mean, Grant's not going to come from McPhee or anything like that, but you never know how these things kind of leak out.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. I read Elliot Friedman's 31
Yeah.
Thoughts every week, and I wouldn't be surprised if Elliot Friedman posted eventually sometime this season.
Yeah.
He actually may post it sooner than later, especially the fact that now Shipachyov is now in Russia now. It's a moot point.
Yep, and he tells back down to 287s, and they both were on the same ice last night.
But and real quick, my teammate Arian said, "Let's just call Nashville the loser."
I don't know. Wait, we'll see that.
No, Orange is a St. Louis Blues fan who's got every pick wrong this past offseason, so
They got off
we'll
to
take
a
that with
great
a grain of
start, though.
salt. Yes.
They're off to a great start with a good young
Yes.
decor. So, I mean, Jake Allen's taking the ball and ran with it finally.
Yep.
Yes. We'll see how that
So-
pans out.
So real quick, we got some. We'll get back to some NHL, and of course we have NWHL. I know you have a nice bit you want to do about the Hall of Fame.
Yes, indeed.
Um,
Coming up this Monday night, at 8 o'clock, NHL Network. Cheap
Yep.
plug.
cheap plug. Suds. And
Hello.
Bernie, I'm going to ask you to switch with Suds for a quick moment, good sir.
Oh my God.
Because what a lot of people don't know, and I have to do this.
Suds was up at 3 in the morning liking my post before I went to bed last night.
Yes.
And so this is actually
doing
going
work last
to
night.
this is actually going to be the most interesting transition. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, not only are you watching this on the Experience Hockey Talk live, but ladies and gentlemen, you are now also watching this on the DCHL Leagues Game Center show, which will be airing at a later
Later
date.
on date sometime.
Later
but
on,
you-
yep.
TBA.
So this little segment right here will not only be seen here on the Experience Hockey Talk, but also on the DCHL Leagues Game Center show.
On which, by the way, Mike does a great job as a host. So, Mike, thank you for doing a terrific job there as well.
Thank you. Now we have a bunch of championship games. Now normally
We
normally what we do, we go rec up.
Okay.
I want to do the opposite. I want
Sure.
to do rec last. And
Sure.
the reason for that is because besides the fact that my team is in it, there's a bigger storyline to this game, and I want to save that for last.
Sure,
And
sure.
and you understand
I'm
the
not sure what
story.
the storyline is, but I'll find out very, very shortly, I guess.
It could be wrecked, period.
yeah, it'll be wrecked, period. But
All right, let's start. D1.
D1.
This is the autumn-fall season 2017, D1. We have an unexpected finals. I mean, really unexpected finals. You figure it would be the Puck Buddies and Babylon Warriors, the top two teams, two of the top three teams. But actually, Puck University did make it. They got a pretty good draw the way it planned out. And the number 6 seed, the first time ever a number 6 seed, lowest seed makes it to the finals. The Red Coats, formerly known as Red Storm, made it out there. A team that didn't get their first win until probably about 5-6 weeks in the season. They were 0-5, 0-6. Won only 2 games all season long. But they finally gelled together. Their players made it back. Joe Shea, John Gramlich. Everybody was able to play. And they shocked the world by taking out the number 3 seed actually first. And then they were reseeded. They got the number 1 seed, Puck Buddies and Jake Berube. So they are on a run right now. This is a Cinderella story that we want to keep an eye on, because if they win, they will be the first number 6 seed to win in a D1 game for us.
Right, and what about D2?
D2 game, the Untouchables are back again. They go for a repeat here. They're going against the top seed, Hockey Shoes Anonymous, who should have been there probably last year, but had a roster, a player could make it, and as a result, caused an issue, and they were lost to semifinals. But this time they're back. They're there, and this should be a heck of a game. This D2 game features something that's unusual. We have 2 female goalies, one on each side. The league currently has 3 or 4 female goalies across the board, but first time, and some people don't like the idea that a female goalie can play out as a female player, but we think it's fair because you want to incentivize the female goalie to play. If you don't make that, if you don't allow that female goalie to be a female gender on the floor, then you just incentivize all female goalies from playing in our league. So
I had a female goalie years ago in the DCHL when the DCHL was first starting. I had no issues with playing.
well,
a
you
female
don't.
goalie.
You know how competitive our league's getting.
Yeah.
People tend to voice their displeasure at the disadvantage of having 4 guys on the floor as opposed to 3 guys on the floor, which to me doesn't make sense. But you want to.
We do have 2 all-women teams in the league.
Yeah, I know. Again, I'm
And one won a champion just a little bit ago.
Yeah. So that to me, this is where I think our league gets a little too touchy about competitive balance. Personally, my personal opinion. But anyway, to get back to storyline, D2 features HSA number 1 seed going against UT. Go for 3-peat. Heck of a game. Loaded on both sides. Female goalie on both sides. Top goalies. One won't be playing, unfortunately, because she can't make it. But the other team, HSA, will have Jenna and net. It should be a great game. And I lean towards HSA, but it's really a coin toss game.
D3.
D3.
The Mighty Ducks are back.
Division 3, features Stingrays, powerhouse. They won it last season. Yes, they finally won it last season. They've been a top team for a while now. And they're going against the number 2 seed, Goonies, who only lost 1 time. People talk about the Stingrays being dominant, but the Goonies only lost 1 time to the Stingrays. So it should be a great game. Offense versus defense, 2-way team versus a free flow game in the Stingrays. And personally, I know that the Stingrays are missing a couple of players, so it should be a very competitive game. But obviously, Stingrays are favored. If they're one of our top 2 players show up and they play strong, they should be favorites. But don't count out the Goonies. They play just a good 2-way game.
And we'll talk about the Goonies a little bit more when we talk about Rec at the same time, because that is part of the storyline right there. D4, Stick
D4.
Magnets.
I
My
know.
former team.
Yeah, Stick Magnets. They've been a floor mat for a while, but they're a very cool team. Very great people on that team. They just love to play. Good attitude in that team, and it's so refreshing to see them make it to have a good season. Now, granted, D4 was the toughest division in DCHL this season. I think only 2 points, 1 win separated first from last. That's how close it was, from first to last, not first, second, first to last. So that was a great division, and Stick Magnets were the number 1 seed by a tiebreaker. So it's really a close division. They're going to play the Gwendolyn Arabian Knights, number 2 seed, playing well as well too. So these are 2 teams, and really it's a coin toss game. That division was a coin toss all year long. It's a coin toss game again today, tomorrow, and honestly, any team can win.
And then the rec game, the Street Sharks versus the Crazy Eights.
Yes.
The 2 teams who are losing the most talent at the end of the season.
Correct.
Hence the big storyline of this may not happen
on
again.
top. Yes.
One team is going to go out on top. One team is going to be a runner-up. But one way or the other, next season, both of these teams may not be in the championship game. They may not have a first or second seed at all.
Well, I'll be honest.
And that's the big thing.
Especially the storyline.
And especially the fact you mentioned the Goonies. Most of the players that the Sharks are losing are either going to the Goonies or the High Rollers.
Actually, no, they're going to the
new team? Oh, the new team, the
called
Zambronis?
Zambronis.
I saw that
There's
logo.
a new team called Zambronis coming in. They're losing to Zambronis. Or the High Rollers, correct.
Yeah.
Now, I want to give my credit here. Michael is captain of the Street Sharks, and part of my job as commissioner and competitive balance director is to make sure that when teams get too strong or too weak, I have to every offseason tweak these teams to make sure they're competitive balance. We believe in competitive balance. It's really a very hard equation to come up with, especially the social league. People want to play together. So we go all out to make sure it's fair. And Mike, to his credit, realized his team was a top team and did allow some of his top players to graduate, so to speak. That's what we call it, graduate, and took on some younger players. So obviously,
I just told them they were promoted.
Yeah, exactly.
You've been promoted.
That is what it is. And Mike, to his credit, has understand what it means to be in the rec division. You should not have a strong stacked team. You should promote players as they get better and take on new players and learn and develop. It's kind of the college system in a way for us. So I want to give Mike credit. I think the Street Sharks probably lost the most talent. Yeah. Yes, Crazy Eights is going to lose the talent, but the Sharks by far were the most generous in that regard. So we appreciate that. So it should be
we're losing.
It should be a swan song.
We're losing 5 actual players, and then 1 player is going part-time.
Yeah. Right.
So when you look at it in essence, we're losing 6 players. So we lose 6 players, and we're gaining 6 rookies,
right?
Especially in goal, and that's where the difference is really going to be known.
It's going to make it a free for all for next season. But let's go back to the championship game here. This championship game should be pretty good. You've got a team like the Sharks who probably have more offense than the Crazy Eights. Crazy Eights, on the other hand, have a terrific defensive system. They play a very good grinding game, and they have Pete Lang in goal as well too. So Pete versus Jeff, that should be a great matchup. 2 goalies who are top-notch goalies. Jeff's not going to play next year in rec because he's obviously not rec material.
Yeah, he's going to Goonies.
Promoted, yes.
I can pretty much tell you right now, Jeff Leonweber, our goaltender, Jeff Carter. Yes, we have 2 Jeffs. It makes it very interesting when we try to differentiate the 2. And Arian, who commented earlier. They're all going to the Goonies, and then Terry Dobbins and Mark Tebow are going to the Zambronis or High Rollers.
I'm sorry, no, they're going to they're going to High Rollers.
Oh, they're going to High Rollers.
Yes,
I was right the first time.
So I apologize. You're right. Yes, but Phil, Crazy Eights lost some of the players to the Zambronis. That's why I apologize. So the Crazy Eights players are going to the Zambronis in this case. Should be a great game. This time, the Sharks were on point, and they won a coin flip game with the Gwendolyn Knights in the semifinals.
We almost blew that one. Yeah.
It was a 3-2 win. It was a hard-earned win, though. It was a good game. So again, I don't see a favorite here. I'm not sure if Michael feels differently, but there's not a favorite here. There's no favorite. It's a coin toss game.
Because let's be brutally honest, our only loss of the season was against Slashing Pumpkins, but it was our last game of the regular season, and we already had first place locked up.
Right.
I think we had it locked up 2 weeks before.
Right.
And Crazy Eights, I think, has only lost 1 game all season, regular season, and that was to us.
Yeah.
And the game before that, the first time we played, we tied.
The one X factor, probably the X factor of this game is temperament. And I have to give Mike credit. Mike does a great job as a captain, keeping his players calm. But of the 2 teams, Sharks the Crazy Eights always never ever get discombobulated. They play the game, whatever happens, happens. The Sharks do have a tendency, some of their players tend to focus on calls and or get distracted, so to speak, and it'll be Michael's job to keep them in line. But if things go wrong early, that could be a factor for the Sharks. The Sharks players do tend to be in that mode. So that's an X factor you want to look for if things don't go well early for the Sharks. But it should be a great game.
Yeah. I remember we weren't in the championship game last season, but we were in it the season before, and Gwendolyn scored early, and it just,
Well, but
it takes you out of the funk real quick because they scored quick and
but
early.
I thought you guys reacted well. You guys stayed positive. You guys played hard that game.
And then they scored 3 more goals.
Yeah, I'm worried about things not going their way, and then some of the players tend to lose focus. But hopefully that won't happen for the Sharks.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Tomorrow will be a tough game.
It should be a great game.
And then
we have. By the way, we have 5 championship games tomorrow with the precursor Constance Tournament to start up.
Which one of our new players is playing in?
Oh, which one is it?
Zach.
Yes, Zach is.
Yeah.
And
I told him to play in it too.
If you have 2 more, we have 2 more spots. If you want to play, let me know.
I'm not playing in a
Not
tournament.
you, but obviously, I need the new players that want to join it as well too. But it should be a great game, and I'm gonna be not officiating tomorrow officially now because I'm going to go ahead and be the host of the interview. I'll be doing interviews. I'll be part of the media crew, championship day media crew.
Oh, you can't get Bernie to do it? I'm pretty sure Bernie would be okay
if Bernie
with
wants to come in and
people.
join us, we'll be happy to have Bernie out there. But I'll be doing pregame and postgame interviews and some cool video segments for the show. So I'll be the media guy tomorrow. It should be fun to meet.
And then, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, before I let you go, I want to apologize for no Patreon exclusive episode this past week. Due to scheduling reasons, none was to be made. However, the Patreon exclusive this week will be the Street Sharks versus the Crazy Eights with Suds' editing techniques and interviewing skills.
Yeah, it should be fun. I think we do a pretty good job putting together a game video pretty quickly, considering we're a rec league and no one gets paid to do anything out there. So it should be fun. I look forward to it. I hope you enjoy it, and it should be a great experience if you haven't watched a DCHL game before.
Yeah, and Ben Purse going Goonies, Goonies, Goonies. You better treat my players well, Ben. You better treat my players well next season. So, Suds, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for always to be here.
And then I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
I got hockey I got to play.
Yes, sir.
So
good show. Thank you for letting me be on again.
No problem, man.
Flip back.
Flip back. And then if you want to chime in, you can chime in.
Okay.
Oh, gee. Suds like, oh, gee, thanks,
Oh, hey,
Michael.
he's got a mic on.
Now, 2 things. With the Goonies, is Chunk playing goaltender? No, I'm just kidding. And, Suds, you're giving him all the credit in the world for reeling his players in. What if he gets out of control?
Actually, to be honest with you,
you have to be the one to
but
you have to reel him in.
I am pretty fair. Mike Lindenbaum has done a great job as a captain and keeping things control. And yeah, sometimes he doesn't agree with the call, but he lets it go. But Mike has done a great job. I know I'm shocked as you are, but I want to give credit where credit's due. Thank you, Mike. Let's hope it stays that way. How about that?
Yes, let's
well, being
leave the lying dog lay. We don't want to take him out back in next year.
Well, being how we have the next 2 weeks off, and I get to decompress after tomorrow, that actually kind of helps a little bit. So the Sharks don't have to start playing again until December 3rd. So
I would like to comment more about the get out of here, guys. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Yep.
As you mentioned, after a lot more work to do this 12th season. So great show, guys. Thanks for letting me be on again.
Yep, no problem, man.
Suds McKenzie, baby. Okay.
I love that. Yes, Spuds McKenzie.
There you go, Spuds McKenzie.
But yep. So you guys got a little hockey tomorrow at the old Rockville Ice Gardens. Extravaganza.
Yep, at the Rockville Sportsplex in Rockville, Maryland. Suds awkwardly walking under the other camera.
Pay no attention to man in the red hoodie.
But let's segue. Because Suds was talking about how
Shaggy loose cannon. Look out.
About how there's players who don't like the idea of women being goaltenders, stuff like that, because they want the balance. So I want to use that as a segue into the NWHL. Let's talk about some women's hockey, because we had some very interesting things happening in the end.
Round 1 in the welterweight bantamweight division between the Buffalo Beauts and the Metropolitan Riveters.
Which in that game, which was actually the Twitter game of the week in Rochester, New York, it was the Metropolitan Riveters defeating the Buffalo Beauts 6-2, which saw Maya Dench get a goal and 3 assists for 4 points, and other players getting 2 points each.
But that wasn't the main event.
That wasn't the main event. because, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 suspensions from this game. So, no, Shaggy, you cannot be a loose cannon.
Yes, they get ornery in the NWHL too, boys and girls.
But so the Player Safety Committee of the NWHL has suspended Buffalo Buttes forward Jess Jones and defender Sarah Casorso 1 game each for their actions during the team's game last Saturday night in Rochester against the Metropolitan Riveters. Jones and Casorso will miss Buffalo's home game tonight against the Boston Pride. Jones received her suspension for 2 separate plays in the third period, slew-footing an opponent at 6:23 of the period and grabbing the face mask and removing the helmet of an opponent at 17:24. Casaroso also received her suspension for a pair of third-period plays, a cross-check at 11:11 and a fight at 14:37. A member of last year's Isabel Cup winning team, Sarah is permitted to participate in the pregame banner ceremony at the Buttes home opener tonight. However, she will not be allowed to play.
When did Chris Kunitz start playing in NWHL? That sounds like his playbook.
Yeah, I know. For those who don't know, the NWHL's Player Safety Committee is led by Kelly Cook, a certified hockey official and former NWHL player. The other members are 2-time U.S. Olympian AJ Miletsko Griswold, 2014 U.S. Olympian Josephine Pucci, an ECHL Vice President of Hockey Operations Joe Ernst, and former NWHL coach Bobby J.
AJ Miletsko is definitely one of the greats in U.S. Olympic history, and definitely a good person to have on your discipline on your board.
Yes, so that was that. And then moving on, Alexa Grushko would become the player of the week with 2 goals, one of which was shorthanded in that game. And then the other game, you had the Connecticut Whale defeating the Boston Pride 2-1. This marking the first time that the Boston Pride in the history of the league has gone 0-2 in their first 2 games.
Congratulations to Anya and the Connecticut Whale on a successful. Was that their home opener or no?
No, that was Boston's.
Boston home
that was
opener.
Boston's home opener.
Spoiling home openers. Nicely done.
Yeah.
So definitely good to see. And I mean, it's amazing with all Boston. The first couple of years, Boston Pride's been one of the
most dominant
exactly.
teams. Yeah. And then, of course, there's also a trade in the NWHL.
Uh-oh.
You had the Connecticut Whale acquiring forward Paige Savage from the Boston Pride for a conditional 2018 NWHL draft pick.
Just 1 pick, not 4 picks and 3 players.
Just 1 pick. Just 1 pick. Just one. But here's a very interesting fact about this trade. Paige Savage was actually the 15th overall pick in the 2016 draft by the Whale, but over this past offseason signed with the Boston Pride. She has not played in either of the 2 games for the Boston Pride, so she's actually now never playing for the Boston Pride, is now going to be playing for the team that originally drafted her.
There you go.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you aren't going to play the person, I mean, find a place, especially being a fledgling league like the NWHL, still in their maiden voyage, I think year 3, and just being able to find places for these gals to play. And you don't want to be having gals sitting multiple games when you're trying to develop your league and develop your player base. So it's good to see that she got moved back to Connecticut, and hopefully she'll sit some good playing time with them.
Yep, and then, of course, today you have the Metro Riveters at the Connecticut Whale at 7 p.m. That is the Twitter game of the week. And then at 8 o'clock p.m., which you can watch on the NWHL YouTube page, the Boston Pride at the Buffalo Buttes for their home opener and banner-raising night at the Harbor Center.
There you go. So, real quick, down on the chocolate farm, Hershey's starting to get guys healthy, and that's a good thing. Vanacek had Vitek Vanacek had a conditioning sit-down with South Carolina, and I think he's going to be back with the Bears either this weekend or next weekend. Phoenix Copley starting to get back into his number 1 goaltending form, and there's a very special night tonight at Giant Center. They're going to be wearing very special Veterans Day jerseys tonight. If you get a chance to see them online, they are sweet. And as always, with the jersey things they do in the AHL, unlike the NHL, they actually wear them during the game, and then they auction them off right after the game. And it told me one thing. I went up there for one of the Capitals nights, and I was thinking, I might be able to get in one of these auctions. People in Hershey have money. Tell me, these auctions, and it was the game of Jay Beagle who got into a fight, and there was blood on his jersey, and Chris Bork comes out and it's like, hey, Bruiser Beagle's jersey's up for auction. It went, and it's got blood on it. Game we used, it went from $1,500 to $3,000 in a matter of 3 minutes. I was like, yeah, I think the couple $100 I brought with me is gonna stay in my wallet tonight. But it was definitely they always raise a lot of money on these jerseys every year, and it's a little good thing. Like we mentioned last week, I'd like to see the NHL let the teams wear the purple jerseys the night of their Hockey Fights Cancer night during the game. I think the game-worn jerseys would get you even more of an auction value, and even with the service salutes that they doing, I mean, have them wear the camouflage jersey with like red, white, and blue numbers, and have them wear them during the game. I mean, just something to just bring another avenue,
or maybe if they don't want them to wear the full-on purple or the full-on camo, make the numbers on the jerseys the purple and the camo.
That's a good idea. Too.
That way you're still wearing the team's official colors.
Right.
You're just changing the number, how it's looking, for just the game, and then you put those up for auction.
Or do something like the NFL does, where you can have maybe guys wearing purple gloves for a night, or have purple on the sticks, or something to that, Matt. The NFL.
They do the purple on the sticks.
Yeah. But I'm just saying on the uniform, either on. Some of them probably do the purple laces on the skates and all that. But I mean, have something, a patch on the jersey during the game, or something of that ilk. I mean, just have something special, that game worn full. I mean, heck, sometimes they go through 3 jerseys a night. You have them wear a jersey a period, and you can really.
That's actually for the Winter Classic and the outdoor games. Which, by the way, today the Stadium Series logo and both the Caps and Maple Leafs logos will be unveiled, which definitely means we'll be having Stadium Series jerseys.
Yes, indeed,
but the point I was going to bring real quick is that for the Winter Classic and for the Stadium Series games, the players actually wear a jersey for pregame, a jersey for the first, a jersey for the second, and a jersey for the third. They change the jersey every period because they all get put up for auction.
Yes, indeed. And of course the player gets one of them, but but that's a really good thing, and I guess we'll link into that. Like I said, if you're in the greater Hershey area tonight, a great game to get out to. But we got 15 minutes left in this wonderful show that just flies by, just like a 60-minute hockey game does. And I'm looking forward to, like we said, every other game this week for the Caps. You got, before we get into the news and notes and everything, you got tomorrow night, Connor McDavid's in town, Edmonton Oilers, and then they go on a quick 2-game trip to Nashville and to Colorado. And the thing about Colorado is that the last several years, correct me if I'm wrong, it's usually been on the back-to-back of an Arizona game. They usually go Arizona-Colorado back-to-back. Usually they are on the second night, and sometimes it's been good with the high altitude, and sometimes it's been not so good. Last year, I think they had a terrible showing in Arizona, but then had a great showing in Colorado the next night because some fires were lit on the plane ride over to Colorado.
Well, not only that, but you're also playing against 2 of the worst teams in the league at the same time.
Yeah. So, but going to Arizona, it's a difficult deal. I mean, you're traveling probably much across the country and everything, and they play better at the Gila Valley Arena than they do on the road most of the time. So, but you were going to mention something with 3 stars of the week, I think.
No, I didn't have 3 stars.
I think it was Corey Crawford, Josh Bailey, and Martin Jones. I think this week.
Yes.
So definitely well deserved. Josh Bailey's emergence on the Islanders is definitely one of the reasons why they're starting to get going, too. I mean, it's like we said, the Metropolitan Division is almost like the NASCAR division in the NHL. I mean, there's 8 quality teams in that division. It's the only team the only division in the NHL where every team has more wins than regulation losses. I mean, you could say everyone's over 500, but you take into the fact of the OTLs and the shootout losses, it can flutter that a little bit. But you want to talk about parity in the league, there's only 6 teams in the league with more regulation losses than wins in the league. So you can see how close, except for your Tampas, your St. Louis's, your Los Angeleses, and to lesser extent Toronto and Vegas. But I mean, everyone else, from Tampa, St. Louis, and LA, take them 3 out of the picture. Everyone else is from 22 to 13, and then you have Arizona at like 7.
But I know you have something that you have written right there.
Absolutely.
Kind of right there because Shaggy's asking about it.
Yes, indeed. Monday night. You see I got the Hockey Hall of Fame polo going on. Some of the immortals of our game, great game of hockey, get the ultimate enshrinement into the Hockey Hall of Fame Monday night in Toronto. 4 more very deserving players, and Dave Andrechuk, Paul Correa, Teemu Solani, and Mark Recchi. A lot of Stanley Cups between the 4 of them, as well as gold medals and games played and goals. I mean, all 4 of them had different ways of getting the puck into the net. Dave Andrechuk made a living out of being that power play specialist in front of the net, and whether it was in Buffalo or Tampa. Just a consummate leader, especially later on in his career. Paul Correa, one of my favorite players that didn't wear a Capitals uniform, tremendous talent. That one vision of him getting knocked out by Scott Stevens in the 03 Cup Finals to come back and rip a monster slap shot by Martin Brodeur, practically sending the Arrowhead Pond into a frenzy that night as they went to Game 7. After that very decisive victory over the Devils. Definitely rings true to me. And of course, his running buddy, Teemu Solani, Mr. Everything, including Mr. Personality off the ice. I love his golf videos. It's quite amusing. Got a great steakhouse out there in Anaheim, too, I believe.
Actually, I'm planning a trip out to Anaheim for next summer, so I'm hoping to...
I'd love to get to that.
So that's one of the places on the places to go.
Absolutely. But Teemu Solani, tremendous player. Still, I mean, to this day, I think he'll never be touched. 76-goal rookie campaign. How you score 76 goals in your rookie year is amazing. And just the way he carried himself on and off the ice is a tribute to what he was. A class act through and through. And Mark Recchi, Mr. Reliable. You know, if you needed a guy at the trade deadline to complete your team for a Stanley Cup run, Mark Recchi's name was usually on that list. Him, Doug Waite, and maybe a few others that would always be changing teams and finding themselves in a cup run all of a sudden, whether it was in Pittsburgh, Carolina, Boston, wherever. I mean, he constantly was able to be like that galvanizing veteran piece of the pie. I mean, especially Boston's run in 2011, being able to score some very timely goals for Boston, but also being that veteran to keep the Marchands and the Bergerons on point. You know, you had this young core starting to materialize, and with Tim Thomas being the rock in the net, it definitely made everything just magical in Boston that year. But speaking of Boston, the builder going in, Jeremy Jacobs, longtime founder of the Boston Bruins.
Also the biggest person who is one of the NHL lockouts the most.
Right, yeah.
He is because he is the head of the Board of Governors, and he is the one who is actually the one who is the strong force behind the last 3 lockouts. Everyone blames Batman, which, yes, Batman does deserve some of the blame. But Jeremy Jacobs is actually front and center because he is the head of the Board of Governors.
And you see with the last several of these lockouts and everything, I mean, you see the parity in the NHL. A lot of these teams have to be top heavy because the salary cap is the hardest of the 4 major sports when it comes to the cap. You can go 10% over in the off season, but you cannot go 1 cent over it unless you have a long-term injury reserve player during the season. There's no Larry Bird exemptions or luxury tax penalties or signing bonuses that can be deferred or non-guaranteed contracts. Everything is on point, and if you're $75 million and 1 cent, you are over the cap, and you need to make a roster move that night, or you're not going to play. Yep. So it's definitely an interesting.
Which is very interesting because there are certain teams who get away with certain things. Lou Lamoriello, when he was with the New Jersey Devils with the Kovalchuk contract. Also, Lou Lamoriello dressing less than 18 players, and yet the New Jersey Devils were allowed to play.
Yeah,
and that's actually not allowed. You have to have at least 18 players dressed in order to play.
Yeah, so that's definitely the circumventions of the rules, and then having to alter the rules and everything. But focusing back on our great night celebration on Monday night, Danielle Goyette, one of the great Canadian women hockey players of all time, like I mentioned when she got nominated, and Lainey McDonald's calls for these things has been just as much of a anticipation as anything. Just seeing the reactions as Lainey starts, hey, it's Lainey McDonald from the Hockey Hall of Fame. Just proud to bring you the great news that you're going to be a member of the next class. I mean, just see the emotion come out in the players and the people that have gotten the great call. And like I said, Danielle Goyette, her battles with Cami Granato and such, with teaming up with Haley Wickenheiser and through those Canadian Olympic gold medals in the Olympics starting in 2002. I think the USA won the first one, and Canada's ripped off a couple straight. So Claire Drake also going in. The winningest coach in Canadian college hockey history is going in as well, and a very emotional one as well. As you know, we've talked about it on the show. Dave Strader passed away from cancer, and the Foster Hewitt Award goes to a journalist or broadcaster, and Ron Weber, great voice of the Washington Capitals for days gone by, has been a recipient of this award. And to see Dave Strader get this award this year is excellent. The only thing that would have been better is if he was one actually receiving it himself. And I know his sons have talked about it in interviews over the past week, that they got a lot of bullet points from their dad. Had his speech on his little laptop, so he had everything bullet pointed and everything. So all they have to do is put the glue together and make it the speech. But just one of the most emotional. And we talked about the Hockey Fights Cancer thing, and this past week, Jeremy Strader, Dave's son, singing the national anthem for the Dallas Stars game was it was a very emotional night that night. The whole Strader family dropped the first puck, and it was one of those things that just makes you take a step back and realize how great the game of hockey is and how much cancer sucks.
Yeah, and I want to throw out a point that as I'm blanking on it. Oh yeah, there it is. A lot of people, especially in this area, they're very hardcore Joe Beninati, Craig Laughlin. And I love Joe B, and I love Locker. I've met them both. I talked to Joe B from time to time.
I think you can meet them both today down at Prince Frederick Chrysler this afternoon. I think they're doing a thing today.
But I want to be brutally honest. I love Dave Strader as a play-by-play guy. I think definitely was one of the best. I would have preferred him over Mike Emmerich for the NBC games, because Dave Strader was able to call the game and tell the story of the game, not all the wishy-washy crap that you get out of an Emmerich, Olchuk, Pierre McGuire.
And to that point, you're saying, I mean, look at the partnership he had with Darren Pang.
Yep.
With Brian Hayward, with Brian Englom.
Brian Boucher.
And with his partner down in Dallas, Daryl Ray.
Yeah, and
fantastic.
And the thing is that it really upsets me when people go and the Capitals are the national game and they get Dave Strader and they go, oh, I'm just going to listen to John Walton, who, by the way, congratulations on getting the women's hockey.
Yes.
He's going to be calling that for NBC, which, huge thing. But this area, this fan base really disrespected Dave Strader by doing that type of stuff. And that type of stuff bothers me because, honestly, you should be listening to guys like Dave Strader and the guy who does the Hurricanes. I forget his name because he's a really good play-by-play guy, too. Because...
Chuck Coates, is it?
No, it's not, no.
I know Trip Tracy's the color guy.
But...
Oh, John Forsland.
Yeah, John Forsland. John Forsland is a magnificent play-by-play guy who is just on the level of Dave Strader, in my opinion, too. And I think this area needs to listen to these guys call the games because it takes out the homer that Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin bring to the team, which, not a knock on them, but at the same time, we want to,
Well,
yeah.
I'll piggyback on your point real quick. When Doc Emmerich was going through, I think he had a little bit of a cancer scare a couple of years ago. They had four really good play-by-play guys going. They had Strader, they had Forsland, they had Joe B going with Andy Brickley, and they had they had Forsland, Strader, and they had Remenda and the San Jose pair out west.
The San Jose guys are really good.
Yes, those guys are really good, and they had those four pairs working together, and I liked how Joe B and Strader and Emmerich, these guys have set themselves apart as being some of the best voices to describe a game of hockey because all the work they put in before the game, the stuff that you don't see. Craig Laughlin tirelessly praises Joe B for his preparedness and his work ethic. Not just the preparedness in the wardrobe department, but the preparedness of the stats and everything. And just even when Locker starts going off kilter a little bit, and that's the good thing of what makes those two a good pair together, is because Locker has the great analysis from being a player, but also can give a little bit of a lighter side to things. But Joe B knows how to reel it in, get it back on the game, but also can play off of that as well. And a lot of times they do Facebook Lives, and they're absolutely hysterical. But at the same time, they know when to be professional, when to give you a point, and when not to be a homer so much. When they know they're doing
Jack Edwards.
when they're doing the national games. And Steve Mears, a great move by Pittsburgh, bringing Steve Mears back from NHL. I miss him on NHL Now, and Randy Hahn. Thank you, Shaggy. The San Jose, great announcer out there. Him and Drew Remenda were great until Drew Remenda went up to hockey. I think he went to Hockey Night in Canada doing the Edmonton broadcast. But fantastic group of guys. I want to stop there because there was a huge milestone last night at the Capital One Arena.
Super quick, because we got like 2 minutes.
Yes. That Braden Holtby, 200th career win in the National Hockey League. Only Ken Dryden got to 200 wins faster at 311 games. Braden did it in 319. Now, Martin Brodeur did it, I think, in 356 or 364 games, one of those two. And he had like 56 ties or something. It was, I think Holtby's the second fastest in the shootout era. I think Antti Niemi got there in 356 games when he was with the Blackhawks, railing off all those wins.
Actually, according to this right here, he needed 319 games, 10 more than Ken Dryden. Oh, yeah.
8 more than Dryden.
10 more than Dryden.
more?
Yeah, because
Dryden
Dryden got hit.
11.
Yeah, because Dryden got his in his 309th game.
Okay.
On November 16th, 1977, which is actually my mom's birthday.
Still, I mean, Braden Holtby, I mean, he got, I said it when he got drafted, that he was going to be better than Varlamov and better than Neuwirth. He's one of the main reasons why the Capitals are 9-7-1 right now, and he's going to be a main reason why they make their annual surge to the top of the standings.
I'm not sorry, but I'm still Team Nuvi. But, that's just me.
Nuvi's made a great career with the Flyers. So everyone's made great careers out there. I mean, all three of them have done yeoman's work. When Varley's healthy, he's one of the best goalies in the league too. So they drafted really well. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, they did. They drafted very well for the other teams in the league when it comes to goalies. But ladies and gentlemen, with that, this has been the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. Join us on Patreon at patreon.com/TXHT_hockey. We'll have the exclusive content up this week. Maybe we'll do a little bonus for not having something up this past week. And with that, we'll see you next Saturday on the ice here on WBGR.
Thank you, guys.
Looking for serious hockey talk.
Good job.
That was a world.